Hey guys, it's J1. I'm back, hopefully for good. I took an extended break. 2 months I think it's been since I filmed. And I'm going to give you guys a quick little recap of where I've been. I've been here. I think the last time I filmed was late October. And that's the last time I put up videos. So November rolled around and we started doing work on doing a wall demo in my office. It was originally a tiled wall, and I had a contractor come in and they started demoing it and putting up new sheetrock, texture, paint, tape and bed, all that good stuff. And there were some other things that we were doing around the condo, which was removing a chandelier that was in the living room, which was originally the dining room, from the last owners, and putting up ceiling fans. It was a lot of work. And I basically, was unable to do anything because people were in my house all the time, my condo all the time. And then Thanksgiving rolled around, and then I started doing a bit more organizing. It wasn't until right before Thanksgiving where the work was finally all completed, and then I was able to start putting things back in that office the way they should be and reorganizing and stuff. It took up a lot of my time. It was basically I woke up every morning and that's what I did. And then Christmas rolled around and I started kind of thinking about next year and wanting to get a journal set up and organize my yarn to where, because I literally just threw stuff in bins and put it in my second bedroom. So I wanted to organize that and, kind of catalog everything, do an inventory. It just took up a lot of my time. And so therefore, this part of my life kind of got pushed to the side as I dealt with all of that stuff. So that's where I've been. And it is December 30th, and I want to get ready for the new year. My goal is to get back into this part of my life and get back on track with panning. I have gotten really focused on knitting and crafting, and so that is something else I want to start filming. That's probably going to be a third channel that I have. I have this channel, I have a wax channel, which I also abandoned. And then I'm going to start a knitting channel, just kind of talk about things that I'm knitting. And as you can see, we have Mr. Sixter here. He immediately jumped into this little, cat bed. So he's hanging out. Anyway, so my plan for kind of catching up on everything is I don't want to focus on the things that I wasn't able to accomplish in 2024, because 2024 was a transition year for me, I feel like. And I don't want to focus on the negatives. I'm just going to focus on the positives. So what I plan on doing is, as I start filming videos for 2025 projects, I'm going to show you the things that I was able to finish. But I'm probably not going to focus on things that I wasn't able to finish, because that just makes me feel like crap that I wasn't able to get through a lot of the things that I really wanted to get through. So the goal is really just to kind of focus on things that I was able to finish, and then talk about the things I want to work on in 2025. So this is going to be my, obviously where have I been portion, but this video is my Pan That palette for 2025. And I'm going to share with you how things ended in 2024 and how I did with the palettes that I was working on, and then we'll focus on 2025. So in 2024, I was working on 4 palettes, right? But one of them I completely abandoned. The 4 palettes I was working on, I'm going to start with the Pan That palette theme for the Pantastic ladies. It was created by Jackie Lutens, and the theme was fun-sized. So I picked the Natasha Denona Mini Love palette, and I really thought that at the beginning of 2024, I was like, I know I can finish this. There's not a lot of shadow in here. I was like, I know I can finish it. I didn't finish it, because I really did not wear makeup for the last 2 months of the year at all. The only times that I wore makeup were really I'm going on out for a social event, I need to put on a face, a handful of times. So one of my goals in 2025 is to wear makeup the majority of almost every day. I'm going to try to get back into my normal routine of wearing makeup every day. That's a New Year's resolution. It's a goal. It's even in my planner as a daily habit, like wear makeup every day. That is a goal. But anyway, I wasn't able to finish this palette. This is the palette I was working on, and this is where I am. I got close. I got really close. And I was really happy. I was thinking, oh, I can finish at least a couple of these shades. But I didn't. I didn't finish one. I got really close on this one and even this one. But I didn't finish it. Anyway, that's how I ended. It's fine. It's fine. Now, I also had some one Franken shadow. I shouldn't say that because this is a Franken shadow in here. And then I also Frankened this, and I did hit pan on it. But of course I didn't finish it. So this is still, the same palette. I do plan on working on this in 2025. I want to finish it in 2025, but it's, obviously not done for 2024. So my ending weight, okay, this palette started originally at 47.8 grams. It currently weighs 43.2. So I used a total of 3.6 grams of eyeshadow out of here. I also have this pan, but I didn't count and weigh it together because it's got some other shadows in there. So I'm kind of putting it in a pile of shadows that I'm going to work on in 2025. Anyway, so this, I used up a total of 3.6 grams out of this palette. All right, moving on to the next one. So for my Baby Panette palette, I had two palettes I was working on. The first one is this Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Luxury palette. And I really did not work on this very much during the year. This is what it looks like now. I didn't even weigh this. Let me do that real quick. So this started at 50.4 grams. It's currently 49.9. So I used 0.5 grams of shadow out of here. So, not a ton. I actually started Frankening this shadow because it's not my favorite shade. But I want to say I mixed this with this. Or I did some mixing with another shadow in here and made this shade right here. So, yeah, it's not finished. I would like to get this done eventually. And you'll kind of see my plans for it this year in 2025, but it's not finished. And then the second Baby Panette palette that I was working on is this Pat McGrath Midnight Voyage palette. Actually it goes like this. Another palette that I, worked on occasionally, but it wasn't anything that I finished. I still have plenty of shadow in here. I did make good progress on this one, but that was really because I used it to cover my grays. And I did hit pan in this shade as well. The rest of it I really didn't focus on. I like this shade right here. This is a nice kind of warm toned crease shade, but I was doing a lot of cool tone looks. Anyway, so this is how this is looking. Let's see what this weighs. So this started at 45.5 grams. It currently weighs 43.7. So what is that? 1.8 grams is what I used up. I want to say that's right. This has a total of 3 grams of shadow, supposedly. Anyway, so that is how much I used of this and how much is left. So we have quite a ways to go. Again, another palette I'm going to focus on in this year. And then the last palette that I was working on, I don't even have here. It was my Natasha Denona Lila palette. I used that for the Better Together collaboration project, which Paula from A Beauty Guru made me do it. She created. I barely use that, like barely. I actually used a little bit of it today for like a center shade, but that's it. So I'm not even gonna go there because I really didn't use it. All right, now on to 2025. So for 2025, the Pantastic Ladies theme for Panette palette is Old Faithful. This theme was created by Lee Golder. I think it's Golder. And the idea here is to pan something we have already used. It may or may not already have pan or an empty, but we'd love to complete it. So I went through my stash and I decided to pull out a ColourPop palette. I have never panned a ColourPop palette, so I was like, you know, it's kind of time. This is a palette that was pulled into my Pan Those Eyeshadows project at some point, and I did hit pan in a shadow. So the palette that I'm pulling in is the ColourPop It's My Pleasure palette. Super excited about this. So let me show you the palette. There we go. This is my starting photo. So as you can see, I have pan in this shade, which is Chicklet. And I decided to pull this in because I've used some of it. Now, for me, the kind of old faithful part of the theme for me in this palette is that it's a purple themed palette because I love purple eyeshadows. I think they look good, great with my skin tone and my hair color. And so I wanted to pan a purple palette. I really enjoyed panning the Natasha Denona palette because I felt like it was an easy everyday look. I could throw it on real fast, and I feel like the same thing could be said for this palette. I'm gonna go ahead and swatch all these shades, which I haven't done yet. I mean, I haven't probably done that since I bought the palette. But I really want to work on a purple palette this year. Okay, there is the palette swatched. Super pretty. I feel like I can make some really nice spring looks with like this pink shade and these colors up here, and still do fall winter looks with the darker mattes in here. And this also has one of my favorite eyeshadows ever, which is Earthshine. It is this shade here. No, wait. It is this shade right here. I love that shadow on the lid. It's so pretty. So yeah, and Mr. Sandman is also beautiful. Anyway, this is what I've decided to pan as my Pan That palette for 2025. Very excited about this. All right, so for the next section, I usually do a baby Pan That palette. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to work on the Pat McGrath Midnight Voyage palette. I feel like I can definitely make really good progress on this, especially because I think it's complementary to this, to the ColourPop palette. So let me go ahead and swatch it down here. So there we go. I feel like it's very complementary. So that's what I'm going to focus on. I would like to get really good progress on this one. And then I'm going to do the Better Together project, collaboration project, whatever, from Paula that she put together. Again, but I'm kind of doing a hodgepodge of a bunch of palettes. And so that's going to be both the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk palette. I'm just going to use this. I may use it to Franken shadows. I may use it on its own, but the goal here is to work on this palette. I feel like I've made good progress on it. I just want to finish it. So I don't know if I'm going to finish it this year, but I would like to have it as a palette that I kind of work on throughout the year with these other two palettes I have. Additionally, I'm going to roll in this Viseart palette that was a baby Pan That palette. Yeah, I think it was a baby Pan That palette. That, and I'm gonna actually put this shadow in here. But this, I think, was one of my baby pan, or maybe it was I don't remember. Maybe it was a Better Together palette. And I want to finish this. Now there are 5 shadows in here that are completely done. And so I have empty wells here, which you'll see 3 of them here in a minute. But what's left in here from the original palette are these 2 shades. So these would be, they're both mattes, and I think they could be good for mixing to make Franken shadows, or there's, I mean, Viseart shadows, they're hard to swatch for sure. Let me put them here. Yeah, those are the 2 mattes there. So I think they're good on their own as like crease shades or to Franken with. So I would like to get this done. There's, just a couple of shadows left in here. And so I would like to finish it. And then the third palette that I'm going to work on as part of the Better Together is this Lorac Shine Bright palette. This is not super exciting. It's a palette that I used as my Doogie Pan My Battleship palette a while ago, and with the Red Dirt and Stardust. And I want to try to complete it. Now, this is what this palette looks like right now. So as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 empty pans in here. So we have this empty, 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 and then this shade down here is empty, but it's actually frankened in another shadow I'm going to show you here in a minute. So this one I really would like to get good use on in terms of using on its own or frankening purposes, because I feel like I'm making good progress on it. Oh, I'm sorry. This one was also an empty, but there's a frankened shadow in here. Anyway, I just would like to focus on this to get it done. Like, that's kind of a goal for this year, is to really kind of finish things up. And there's there's 4 palettes, 5 palettes. Oh, and this one too. I'm sorry. And the Natasha Denona palette as well. That's something else I really want to finish this year. So all of these are part of like my Better Together 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all kind of part of my Better Together project. I would like to get progress on all of these and maybe finish a couple. That would be amazing. So the other thing I want to show you is I have 3 franken shadows. This one here is also what's in this pan. I just had extra left over. And this was a franken of, I want to say there's a little, was there a little bit of that blue? I don't think so. I want to say it's got this gold shade, this green shade or teal shade, and icicle. I think that's it. And it's a kind of green shadow. Here we go. There's the shade. So that's that franken. Then I have this matte shade that I created. Now this one was created from using this shade called Slate Blue right here. This is not a very good shadow on its own. It's kind of patchy. The same thing could be said for Azure, this one here. So I think I used Slate Blue. I added some of this shade. And then I was like, I should make a purple shadow. So I added some red shadows that I have from like the Kathleen Lights So Jaded palette and then a Natasha Denona palette. So I put those together and created this shade here. I don't even think I've swatched this since I made it. So there's the shadow there. Easy shade for me to pan. And then the last shadow I created is this one. This actually has a shadow from the Viseart palette that I had a little bit left of, along with the shade Cosmic from this Lorac palette. The Cosmic shade was dark and this Viseart shade was on the lighter side. And I'm just going to put it on the top here. So that is the shade there. I was playing around with some frankening that day and I just went a little cuckoo. So anyway, those are the frankens. So what I decided to do is I have weights for everything. So I'm going to share with you the weights, the starting weights. Okay, the starting weight for the It's My Pleasure palette is 99.5 grams. This is supposed to have, I don't know. It doesn't say it on the back. I'm guessing 3 grams per shadow. I'm not sure. Anyway, that's the starting weight, 99.5 grams. Then I have my Baby Panette palette, which has a starting weight of 43.7, the Midnight Voyage palette. So I'm going to keep track of that. The Lorac palette in this form. Actually, what I did is I weighed it with these 3 pans of frankened shadows. And the starting weight for that was 221.3 grams. And then I weighed all of these 3 together because I didn't want to weigh them on their own. And these 3 together weigh 130.2 grams. So that's how I'm going to keep track of everything. I'm just going to weigh things that way and we'll see how I do. So that is my introduction for Pan That Palette in 2025. Super excited. I have 6 palettes that I want to make progress on. I would love to finish this for sure. The Natasha Denona Mini Love and the Viseart palette. Those are going to be like my goals. And at a minimum, of course, hit pan in every shadow in the ColourPop palette, but I would like to finish it. I mean, that would be nice. I do think I can make really good progress on this, if not, hopefully finish it. That is the goal, right? To finish it. Anyway, that is everything for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry I've been gone for so long, but hopefully I'm back, baby. I'm back. Hope you guys are doing well and staying safe. Please hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.